Welcome, Freedom family, and everybody else that is watching our MaxImmunity workshop. What you're going to learn at this workshop or during this workshop is really what you can be doing to enhance and rejuvenate your immune system. Disclaimer, what we are not going to talk about tonight is whether or not any of you or anybody believes in COVID and thinks it's a hoax or not. We're not talking about that. What we are not going to talk about is the great debate on, does a mask work? Does it not? We're not going there. What we're not going to talk about is the vaccine and if we think it's going to save us all or not. We are most definitely not going to talk about politics, religion, pharma, finances, money. We're not talking about any of that because what we're noticing right now is that this pandemic, COVID-19, coronavirus, it is dividing our country. It is dividing our families. It is dividing our friendships, our offices. Everybody has a different take on it. But here's what we know to be true. Every single one of us have one foundational aspect in common, and that is our immune system. That is the ability to fight off virus, no matter what time of the year, no matter what kind of pandemic, no matter whether it's in your house or on a plane or wherever you're at. And so tonight and today and during the workshop, you have to just think about, are you doing everything in your power to control what you can control? And most importantly, to create a strong host. That is you. Because let's be real, COVID-19 coronavirus, it's not going anywhere anytime soon, unfortunately. As a matter of fact, some of the scientists are saying that it will be here forever, just like a cold and flu virus. We are always inundated with pathogens, you guys. Every single day, every single month, every single year, we have germs and viruses and pathogens and bacteria all around us. So the real question is, why can somebody be in the same room as another person and they get exposed to a pathogen and one person gets sick and the other one doesn't? If the germ theory was 100% correct, everybody would get sick. If the germ theory was 100% correct, everybody would have the same symptoms. And yet some people can get symptoms pretty severely and others, it's not so bad. And so is the germ theory valid? Absolutely. If you're exposed to a virus or a germ or a pathogen, yeah, you increase your exposure, you increase your susceptibility. But we also have to look at what's called the terrain theory. And what that means is a body in balance, a body with proper resources is able to pretty much get rid of a pathogen and not let it create symptoms or create sickness or disease or hospitalization. And so this workshop is really focusing on, yes, let's reduce exposure. That's just hygiene and being smart. But also let's create a powerful terrain. Let's create a powerful host and let's create confidence in you so that you know right now, continuing to go through this pandemic, you have the tools to be strong. But also let's look for the long run, for the longevity in the future, because you need immune system strength always and forever. And so our goal is to allow you to be free, feel free, live free. But the way you do that is to take control and to take action. Before we give you the action steps, we need to give you knowledge. You need to understand exactly what the immune system is and how it works. And so Dr. Megan is going to start to really go over what this looks like as far as the immune system. So my name is Dr. Jason Cahill, Freedom Chiropractic. With me is my partner in crime, Dr. Megan Kennedy. And Dr. Megan, I'm going to have you take over and rock it.
All right. So like you said, in order for us to build a strong foundation, we need to know what's going on with our immune system first and how it works. And so I'm about to break that down for you. So the immune system, it's a collection of structures and processes within the body that are there to protect us against diseases and other potentially damaging foreign bodies. There are two main parts to this system, the innate immune system and the adaptive immune system. We're going to start with the innate. That is the system that we are born with. It's there the second that we come out, and it's there fighting every step of the way till we are no longer living. It's a non-specific system, meaning that it only tells the difference between non-human cells and human cells. Other than that, it doesn't know the difference between one pathogen or the other. And so this system works feverishly fast. And I say feverishly fast for two reasons. One, it works within minutes to an hour or hours of encountering a non-human cell, but it is also the system that causes a fever response. And I'll touch more on that a little later. So what is happening is we have a bunch of different defender cells. A lot of these are known as white blood cells, and there are some other cells in there as well. And so for the purpose of my example today, I have a macrophage. And so this is one of the many types of white blood cells that we have in our body. And so this guy and all of its friends, it goes around roaming through our system looking for anything that it considers non-human. When it comes across a pathogen, what it will do, it'll engulf that pathogen and break it down into antigens. And so after that process, what happens is signals go out. It signals more of its buddies, more of its white blood cells to come to that area and help fight off all of the other pathogens in that area. It puts out cytokines, which induces a pro-inflammatory response. And then it also creates that fever, which is there to help make the body and environment that's hard for bacteria to thrive in. And so after all of that happens, the macrophage will take those pieces of the antigen and it will move through the bloodstream into the nearest lymph node, or through the lymph nodes or system into the nearest lymph node. From there, it presents pieces of this pathogen along the edge of its cell to T cells. It literally gives it a wanted poster. It's saying, hey, I found this, go and get it. So we have killer T cells and we have helper cells. Our killer T cells, they're like our army. They get that wanted poster and they go on a manhunt looking for anything that looks like this and destroys it. Our helper T cells are what initiate the rest of our immune system. And so at this point, we are in the adaptive immune system. So the helper T cells will go and find B cells and show it, hey, look at this antigen or this pathogen we found. We need to make antibodies for it. So it shows it to the B cell, and then that B cell becomes a plasma cell. That is what creates antibodies in our system. This will secrete antibodies throughout our entire system, and those antibodies will then attach to anything that looks like this pathogen. And it's tagging it for destruction for the killer cells and any other white blood cells that are geared for destruction of foreign bodies. So that's, in a nutshell, is how we fight off any pathogen or foreign body that goes into our system. So now that adaptive immune system, once the macrophage moves into the lymph node, that whole process takes anywhere from days to begin to weeks to peak. So it's a very, very slow process. But in return, we gain memory. And so our plasma cells will then, most of them die off once the threat is gone, but a lot of them stay behind and become memory cells that just continue to roam the body, just waiting for a pathogen to reappear. And so the next time that pathogen comes into our system, our body remembers, our body knows how to fight it off, and we don't get symptoms as much anymore either. Eventually, it might get to the point where we don't experience symptoms at all from fighting a pathogen. However, that very first time a pathogen comes into our system and it's brand new, symptoms are actually very, very important to the healing process. The sneezing and the coughing, all of that is there to reduce or to remove mucus that has trapped germs. Our airways are lined with mucus linings, our lungs are lined with it, our skin is part of that innate immune system, and then so is our gut. And so it's all very, very important, and it helps remove any pathogens from our body. And then, like I said, that fever is also very important. It raises our body temperature and makes it so that our body it's not a good place for bacteria to grow. And so from there, sorry, lost my place. From there, sorry. Yeah. So, okay. Sorry. Got my place now. So yeah, these symptoms aren't fun, but it's important to let that fever ride out. If it's a low grade fever, let it do its thing. And then your body will remember how to fight off that pathogen, and you'll move on, and you'll be stronger than you were before. And so at this point, you might be asking yourself, well, if I have this amazing immune system and it's constantly learning, it's constantly remember, why do we get sick? Well, one of two reasons, or two of two reasons. One, we're constantly encountering new pathogens that we've never experienced before, and so our body has to learn how to deal with that. Some pathogens are easier to deal with than others, but we have to relearn that system. The other big reason is that our immune system, is constantly getting bombarded by other factors and other stressors. These stressors may be physical, emotional, or environmental. They all have an effect on the system somehow. Now, a stress response is part of a normal, healthy, working immune system, but what the problem is that when it's getting bombarded every single day, ongoing, and it never stops, all of that adds up, and our immune system is going to get overloaded, and it can't keep up anymore. Our defenses are down, and that's when we become more susceptible to illnesses. And so all of that starts in the gut. Gut immune system is incredibly important. 70% of our immune system is stored in the gut. So you remember me saying that we have mucus lining within our system, or our gut system. That's there to stop bacteria from even entering our bloodstream. And so you may have heard of leaky gut, and that is a prime example of how important our gut is when it comes to the immune system. So leaky gut is when a gut system is working properly, what's going to happen is any bacteria, any pathogen, any virus that gets into those barriers form a tight barrier so pathogens can't get through into our tissue or into our bloodstream. Now, with a leaky gut, we have holes and we have cracks along that lining that have formed, and so it's not good at keeping these pathogens out anymore. And so some can leak through at that point and cause us to be sick. So if that is one of our first lines of defense and it makes up 70%, you guys can see how important of a system that is to keeping us healthy. So moving forward, let's talk about some ways that you can really start. I don't want to say support your system. I want to say revamp it, make it better than it was before, and then support that new healthy system. So we're going to start with nutrition and supplements.
Yeah, so I agree with that. It's not, Dr. Jeffrey Bland said that your body is constantly, every 10 seconds actually, making up to 1 million white blood cells, up to 20 million red blood cells, and up to 30 million platelets. Every 10 seconds. The human body is amazing. And so we actually have an ability to have a huge impression on those new cells, those new white blood cells that are your immune cells. And one of the biggest things is your nutrition. Let's be real. I think all of you have seen the news, you've read the articles, maybe even dove into the research. Those that are most susceptible right now to COVID-19, to coronavirus, or to really any of these inflammatory diseases like heart disease, you look at cancers, diabetes, it's the people with comorbidities such as obesity and inflammation and hyperglycemia. The people that are most susceptible, unfortunately, and I know this is blunt and this is a punch in the gut, it's the people that are dealing with metabolic issues right now. And the reason this is happening is because it creates all this cascade effect of inflammatory responses, and it reduces the body's immune system function. And so when we're talking about nutrition, there's just a few things that I would highly, highly recommend looking at first. And by looking at, I mean get rid of them. And that is simply refined sugars, refined flours, and refined oils. To put that into more of a layman's terms, that means cupcakes, white bread, and French fries, or fried food in general, because these things have been shown to increase free radicals within your body, along with things like hyperglycemia, which is essentially too much sugar in your blood or blood sugar levels. And so hyperglycemia and all of these rancid oils and refined sugars are creating an abundance of free radicals within your body. When that happens, your body does not have the ability to go through a process called phagocytosis, which is very similar to what Dr. Megan was just talking about, where a pathogen, a virus, a bacteria comes within your body, and your body's immune response, the immune mediators, they send out an army and they go out and they engulf that virus or that pathogen, and then they destroy it and they get rid of it. And that's what your body should do. That's a proper immune system. But because of the influx of free radicals, the body's ability to produce or to have the process of phagocytosis goes down. When that happens, now you have these pathogens in your body. Your body doesn't know what to do about it, so it just creates a dumpster fire. It creates a massive inflammatory response called a cytokine storm. The scary thing with that is that when you have a cytokine storm, your immune system actually flips on itself. It literally starts to destroy itself. It becomes autoimmune. And so you look at a lot of these inflammatory and degenerative diseases that we have and have had for a long time. I think that's a big one that we have to remember. Are we in the midst of a pandemic? Absolutely. Have we been in an actual epidemic for decades now? Yes, because of all of these metabolic issues and obesity issues. Heart disease and cancers are the top killers in the United States, and these are essentially lifestyle diseases, inflammatory diseases. Is there a small genetic disposition? Absolutely. But your lifestyle is what either brings those bad genes to the forefront or keeps them at bay. And so when this happens, you also, when you have that attack on the immune system, not only does your immune system go down, but when you have things like hyperglycemia, you're going to have an insulin level increase. When you have things like free radicals and inflammation, you're going to have cortisol levels increase. And so the thing that you have to understand about anatomy in the human body is that there are some inverse reactions that happen. When things like insulin and cortisol are high, things like human growth hormone and immune mediators are low. They cannot do what they're supposed to do. And so what really needs to happen is looking at lifestyle-wise, specifically nutrition, how can you start to make a balance, if not create more of the human growth hormone and the immune mediators? Because if you can't grow, repair, and heal, you are creating an environment that is amazing for a virus or a bacteria or any other disease. And so where do we even start? What do we even do as far as nutrition? In my opinion, the first thing that you should start to do is add in a lot of plants, a lot of vegetables for many reasons. First of all, they are jam-packed with nutrients and vitamins and minerals that are fuel for your body and for your immune system. Not to mention, when you're eating all of these plants, you're less susceptible to putting so many of the big, heavy, starchy carbs onto your plate, such as potatoes and breads and the white rice and things of that nature. And so you're eating these good plants and vegetables, and you're getting rid of these things that are creating more hyperglycemia, which we just talked about. The other thing is, when you're eating vegetables and plants, they have what's called phytochemicals. Essentially, a phytochemical is a plant's immune system. They also have an immune system just like us. And so one of the best things is when you're consuming those plants, you're consuming that phytochemical, you're taking in their immune system, which helps to enhance your immune system. So essentially, you should be looking at like 2/3 of your plate for every single meal should be really amazing plant type of products. Now, the second one that we're going to look at is probably the most deficient part of the standard American diet, the SAD diet, right? And that is good, healthy fats. Why? Because we have been brainwashed and terrified since the 50s that fat causes fat. Fat makes us fat. Fat is the cause of heart disease. That is so false and untrue. What causes all of that are all of these bad fats, rancid fats. So what you want to go and look at is you want to look into your cupboards in your pantry. You want to look at things like hydrogenated and partially hydrogenated oils, vegetable oil, canola oil, soybean oil, corn oil, high fructose corn syrup. You want to take your arm and just boom, get rid of all of those yesterday, because they create free radicals in your body, and a lot of them. That will in turn create a lack of phagocytosis, a cytokine storm, an inflammatory bombardment, and then your immune system says, I can't even fight off myself or any other bacteria. And so get rid of the rancids. What you want to do is add in, just get rid of one thing and add in another thing. So the keys here, and I know I'm going through this fast because we could honestly spend an entire workshop on just nutrition, but I want to give you the quick hitters, the big three: coconut everything, avocado everything, and olive everything. And in any form, you could eat them, you could get them in oils, whatever it is, those are beautiful, healthy fats. The other great ones are things like nuts and seeds. Macadamia nuts are huge with great fats and fatty acids. Chia seeds and hemp seeds are amazing, both for fat and some protein in hemp seeds. You look at wild caught fish, things like salmon and herring and sardines. These are great for the good fats. And if you can start to implement more fat, you will start to become a fat burner. You will increase your metabolism. You will actually give your brain and the nervous system the fuel that it needs to be healthy and repair. You will start to heal all of your cell membranes because they are made of fat. You actually reduce inflammation, all because you're adding in good, healthy fats to your everyday nutrition. You take those fats and you put some of that olive oil onto all of those vegetables we were just talking about, you have a lot of bang for your buck right there. The last thing of the big three that I look at and that we teach our patients is to be aware of the grains and the carbs that you're eating, specifically the grains that are genetically modified: corn syrup, flours, white rice, pastas, cookies, crackers, cakes, even the gluten-free type of grains and flours like tapioca, rice flour, potato starch, corn starch. Really, if you are dealing with any sort of metabolic type of disease, if you have a lot of inflammation and soreness in your joints, if you have heart disease, diabetes, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, cancer, what I would absolutely recommend, and we can talk about this personally one-on-one, is completely eliminating all grains and those types of carbs. You will still get carbs into your everyday intake because of the vegetables, but when you eliminate those, it helps to completely reset your body and your system, and it starts to reduce all of the inflammatory responses. All of those diseases I just talked about, the single most common foundational aspect of all of those is inflammation. They are inflammatory-based diseases. And so instead, you can get rid of those for maybe 30 days, maybe 60 days. Some people, they feel great on that. But if you're somebody that's doing really well and you want to have grains of some sort, that's totally fine. You want to look at something more like a Mediterranean diet, where there's an abundance of high quality fat, there's moderate protein, and then there's carbs, but it comes from more of the sprouted grains and ancient grains like quinoa, brown rice, buckwheat, spelt, barley, And then when it comes to cooking, you use things like almond flour, coconut flour, psyllium husk. I know my wife and I, we really switched to all of those, the almond flour, coconut flour. We don't have a lot of those grains, even the good ones, in our house anymore, because our bodies just feel better and less inflamed when we stick with a higher fat content, moderate protein, and lower the carbohydrates. And so those are probably some of the key components, the top 3 things that we would recommend as far as getting rid of refined foods and adding in these power foods right away. It's not hard. It's just a matter of getting used to something different. Now, in conjunction with the top 3 for just overall health and longevity, we're going to go over 5 different supplements that you can get from food, but we also have as supplementation that are there to strategically enhance and rejuvenate your immune system. The first one being vitamin D3. Now, it's kind of deceiving with the picture there. You can get D3 from some foods, specifically fish, salmon and sardines and fish like that. But really, the powerhouse of vitamin D, that comes from the sun. You got to get outside. You got to get the sun exposure. The problem with that is most people in our country, not just here, but in our country, are not eating enough fish products, quality fish products, that is, and they're not getting enough sun. So therefore, they're not getting a proper amount of vitamin D3. And so that's why we supplement. Vitamin D normalizes the inflammatory state within your body, and it also produces antibacterial and antiviral peptides. And so for adults, we recommend about 5,000 IUs, and for kids, 2,000 IUs every single day. And so with our vitamin D from Designs for Health, that's just 1 capsule a day, super simple. This is huge year round. Some of these that I'm going to talk about, I only take maybe mid-October to mid-April, when it's, you guys call it the cold and flu season. I don't believe in that, because I know there's viruses and pathogens all the time. I call it the holiday and stress and sugar season, and that's why our immune system is down and we're more susceptible. But I take a vitamin D3 year round. I would recommend maybe getting your D3 tested every so often just to see where you're at, so that you can tweak things as necessary. The next one, you guys know, you have always heard about this, take your vitamin C. Vitamin C is critical because it inhibits free radicals and it allows phagocytosis and it reduces stress. So all the things we were talking about before that hyperglycemia and bad oils create free radicals and reduce phagocytosis, vitamin C does the opposite. And so actually, the first 3 foods that we recommend as far as vitamin C, it's pretty interesting. You might not know about this, but high vitamin C content comes in broccoli, comes in Brussels sprouts, and bell peppers. Most people just think citrus foods, but actually those green leafy foods are amazing sources of vitamin C. Then, of course, you have the other ones like kiwi, oranges, strawberry, papaya, guava, those more citrusy fruits. Vitamin C, normally it's like 1,000 milligrams a day. If you're fighting something, I'd up that. I actually read one research article that they showed that 3,000 milligrams of vitamin C a day actually helped reduce all of the stress and or the effects of stress within the body, which was pretty amazing. I didn't know that vitamin C had such an impact, not only physically, but also on your emotional stress. So vitamin C is one of those. I don't take it year round. I just kind of take it during the holiday, stress, sugar season. The next one that we talk about is probiotic. Dr. Megan already hit this. Your microbiome is like a beautiful garden in your gut. And like she said, 70% of your immune system starts in your gut. So you have to give your body the right things to create a healthy, beautiful garden. When you're eating refined sugars, refined foods, refined oils, refined flours, that's pretty much like putting sewage into the soil of your beautiful garden. It will kill everything. And so a probiotic is going to help just create that good bacteria. Really good sources food-wise are going to be things, fermented foods, kimchi, kombucha. You have sauerkraut is a good one, tempeh, miso. These are very good for probiotics. I don't know about you, but I'm not eating sauerkraut and kimchi every single day. Probably a good thing because it'll get you a little gassy. So I'm sure everybody around me appreciates me not eating sauerkraut every single day. But because of that, I will consume one tablet or one capsule of probiotic every day, year round. Vitamin D3 probiotic year round. The last two that are more specific, oil of oregano. I don't really have a food supplement or food alternative for this one because I'm not about to just chew on oregano. And so I use a capsule. Oil of oregano. Oregano is amazing because it is Mother Nature's antibacterial, antibiotic, antiviral, antifungal. It's literally made for us. And so I take one of these capsules a night because I'm around a lot of people every day, mask or no mask, who cares? I'm going to put the good things into my body so that my body is strong, healthy, and thriving. And I'm just giving it a better chance. That's the bottom line. Nature's antibiotic right there. And then the last one is going to be zinc. Zinc allows you to deflame the body. It reduces oxidative stress. You can see that we get a lot of that in avocados and seeds. We also get it in oysters. My wife and I love oysters, so that's a reason to go spend a lot of money just because we're getting our zinc in for our immune system that evening. But these are the things that will build up zinc. Now, the problem is most of those are in low dosages, so that's why we supplement, especially during the cold and flu season. And so these are the things that we do for our body. These are the 5 most common supplements that we not only take, but we recommend. In our office, we do carry Designs for Health. We do that just because we know going into any of the supermarkets or Whole Foods, it's overwhelming. And so what we want to do is just make it as simple for you guys as possible. If you've ever been to one of our workshops, you know we do a 10% discount for everybody at the workshop for all of our supplements. Now, the problem with that is we're not having an in-person workshop for quite a while because of COVID. And so we still want to honor that 10% discount. All you need to do is call the office within 24 hours or go online and email Kirsten and let her know that, yes, you want to get these supplements, whether it's some supplements, some that we haven't talked about, or you can actually get an extra percentage off, more than 10% if you buy the actual immune bundle. So all 5 of those, when it comes down to the price, I think all 5 is just over $150, but because it's a 15% discount on the bundle, it is down under $130. So it's a huge savings, and it's just something that will help to enhance and give you control over what you can control. It's that simple. And so you have everything down there as far as the pricing. Again, you just need to contact Kirsten at freedomchiro.com or call us 719-533-0303. There it is. I didn't know she had that. And so there we go. That's your contact information so that you can save a lot of money on these supplements and on nutrition. Now, it's just like everything. When you look at peanut butter, it's got its partner in crime called jelly. When you look at brushing your teeth, you also have flossing. When you look at nutrition, you also have exercise. So Dr. Megan, teach us what to do to exercise for our immune system.
Yeah. So we already know that exercise is an essential to healthy living. It strengthens our heart, it improves circulation, it raises oxygen levels all over the body. Exercise also prevents the development of diseases like diabetes, heart disease, strokes, and cancer. Now, if you go to the supermarket, you're not going to catch those types of diseases while you're at the store, but they do dramatically affect your immune system's ability to fight off the cold and flu that you might catch at the store. And they lead to other major health complications. So exercise is an easy way to give yourself a little insurance policy and reduce your risk for developing those. Exercise is also extremely good for our brains. I came across this really cool podcast about this world-renowned neuroscientist that kind of accidentally happened upon physical changes in the brain after exercise. And so what she found is that exercise will change how the hippocampus and the frontal cortex function. It makes them stronger. And these two areas of the brain they're very important, and they deal with decision making, focus, and memory. And so by strengthening those areas, you're preventing memory issue diseases like Alzheimer's and dementia. So it's again, something simple that you can do that does wonders for your health overall. It also helps directly with the immune system. It can help flush out bacteria from the airways, reduce the chances of developing a cold or flu or other disease or illness. Exercise allows antibodies to circulate more because we're increasing our circulation. So that immune system, all of those those defender white blood cells that I talked about, it gets them moving through our system faster, so they're able to detect a threat faster. That brief rise in body temperature is also, again, going to make our body less desirable place for bacteria to grow. And then it also really helps with stress hormones. And we'll get back to that here in a second. But I would say overall, a good goal for everybody, 30 minutes of exercise, 3 to 4 days a week, and you're going to get these benefits. And so something really simple is Max T3 if you don't already have an exercise program. This program focuses on HIIT exercises, so high intensity interval training. It focuses 20 seconds of work and then 10 seconds of rest. Very simple. It's a great way to get started. And then from there, you kind of make it your own. These exercise benefits can also come from something simple like going for a walk, taking out the jump rope, playing on the trampoline with the kids, really anything that gets you moving, taking the stairs instead of the elevator. You just got to get moving, get your heart pumping, and it's all going to add up throughout the day. So anything is better than nothing. And so now back to the stress hormones that we've been talking about and how impactful those are on our immune system. There is another study that showed that regular participation in anaerobic exercises, or aerobic exercise, has shown a decrease in overall levels of tension, elevated and stabilized mood, improved sleep, it improves self-esteem. Even just 5 minutes of aerobic exercise is going to stimulate that anti-anxiety effect. And so if we can take away the stress from the day, that's just going to help our immune system out that much more. And so that brings us to our next essential for a healthy immune system, and that is a healthy mindset. Take it away, Dr. Jason.
Yeah, I think we all know that stress is everywhere, especially right now. I mean, honestly, guys, I will be the first to say last week I had straight up anxiety. I think it was, holy cow, this all hit home more than ever before. Dealing with patients that have been exposed and family members, and it was crazy. And so my anxiety was high. It felt like somebody was grabbing my chest. And so it's one of those things where stress in an acute situation is okay, because that's what you need for fight or flight. That's what you need to kind of like weightlifting for your immune system. But stress in the chronic sense is not okay at all. And that's what most Americans are living in, is chronic stressful states because of jobs, because of finances, family, a pandemic, politics. I mean, you name it, we are stressed to the max right now. And so what can you do? What are some things? I mean, everybody says, oh, you got to manage your stress. What the heck does that even mean? And so I went into some research, and bear with me. I'm going to just literally read these research studies right off the page. But one of these came from a medical journal called JAMA. They actually took patients with rheumatoid arthritis and asthma. So I know most of you on here don't have either of those. But the reason I like this study is because those are both inflammatory diseases, just like we talked about before. So even if you don't have an inflammatory disease, you might have extremely high inflammation, which is reducing your body's ability to fight and protect and grow. And so they took these people with rheumatoid arthritis and asthma. They simply had them journal for 20 minutes each day about what was happening under the hood, meaning their emotional state, what they were feeling, what they were doing. They journaled for 20 minutes. The study actually showed a massive clinical reduction in overall stress objective testing, just from journaling 20 minutes a day. There's a woman, Candace Pert. She's a psychoimmunologist at the National Institute of Health, NIH. She states that the immune system listens to our thoughts, and she calls them molecules of emotion. And so doing things like journaling or meditation can help you process these thoughts and these emotions to chill out. And therefore your immune system can say, okay, they're not just freaking out right now, so I don't have to freak out right now. Meditation, it doesn't need to be long, you guys. I maybe do 5 or 10 minutes. I got in a habit of journaling at one point, and then I got away from it. But after reading this stuff, especially this one, UC San Diego, patients with asymptomatic congestive heart failure. So they weren't necessarily showing symptoms, but they were diagnosed with the inflammatory disease and the metabolic disease called a congestive heart failure. They had better ventricular heart function after 6 weeks of similar journaling, more significantly, gratitude journaling. So not only did they journal for 6 weeks about what was going on under the hood, they journaled about what they're grateful for. And literally their heart started working better. Like, blew my mind. But it did not blow my mind as much as this next one. Caveat before I read this one. This is hard, because I love the study, but you can't do this right now because it has to do with hugging. And so this, you got to think about more people in your inner circle, the people, your family members that are closest to you. But this came out of Carnegie Mellon University. They performed a study measuring resistance to respiratory viruses. I'm pretty sure right now we are going through a pandemic consisting of a respiratory virus. So this is a huge study for us to see. They did this study on the respiratory viruses in correlation to social interaction and hugs, of all things, hugs. And they took 2 groups. One group had social interaction with others and hugs. The other group did not. They then inoculated everybody, meaning they literally put a cold virus into every person's body. And get this, the group with more social interaction and social support and hugs, aka human touch, clinically and objectively reduced susceptibility to infections, and they also reduced the severity of the symptoms if in fact they had symptoms. So we just got to go hug people. I think that's the bottom line. We just got to go hug. Elbow bump the people that you have to elbow bump, but the people that are close to you, give a nice, long, 20-second, hard, firm bear hug embrace and boost that immune system. If you don't have anybody to do that, my patients, you get into the chiropractor, Freedom Chiropractic, because that is a health care filled with human touch. It's amazing how when somebody just lays their hands on you, it changes your body physiologically. And so these are so simple: journaling, mindset, human interaction, go outside, take a walk, the simplest things that can create a healthy immune system and create a lot of health up here. So this is more of the emotional toxicity, but we also have a lot of other toxicity in our body.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we're exposed to high amounts of environmental toxins every single day. They're in the air, they're in our food, they're in our water, they're in our homes, they're everywhere. And half the time we don't even know it. But what happens when these toxins get into our system, they bind to our normal human cells. So remember our macrophage and how it can only tell the difference between human cells and non-human cells. Well, if there's a toxin bound to a normal human cell, it no longer recognizes it as itself. So it's going to attack it. And so this is an autoimmune disease. So this is one of the ways that can start happening. So simply minimizing or eliminating toxins such as BPA, medications, pesticides, and personal care products will reduce the impact on the immune system, allowing it to function properly the way it's supposed to. So a few easy action steps that you can take is: 1, eliminate processed foods that are covered in pesticides. Always wash your foods because you never know what's going to be on it. Use glass or stainless steel instead of plastic to store foods or to have your water bottle as. And then I came across this really cool app. It's called Think Dirty. And let me pull it up here for you. So where's my camera? There we go. So that's what it looks like. And it's pretty cool. You can just use the little barcode at the bottom and scan your products. And then it's going to pop up with all of the ingredients and potentially harmful ingredients and like how they can harm the body. So it's a really cool way, an easy way to eliminate those products from your house over time. And so speaking of self-care,
Sorry, I just got rid of you.
Oh no, my bad.
Wrong button.
We're good?
Yeah, you're good.
We're good? Okay. Yeah, so especially now, you would think, can you go to the next slide for me? You would think that it would be a given to wash your hands, but there is a study performed and only 5% of people properly wash their hands. Yeah, it should not take a pandemic to consider washing our hands more often and properly. So proper hand washing is warm water and soapy water, and you scrub for 20 seconds. You get all the crevices, you get under your fingernails. And by doing this, taking 20 seconds out of your life to wash your hands, it's going to reduce your risk of respiratory illness by 20% and diarrheal illnesses by 30%. 20 seconds for not having diarrhea or a cough, I'm okay with that. So wash your hands, people.
I've never been into a women's bathroom. Obviously, I'm not going to go there. But I don't know about you ladies, but why are guys so gross? Like, I wash my hands. Every time I go to the bathroom, I wash my hands. It blows my mind how many dudes go to the bathroom and then just walk right out. I'm like, what is wrong with you? That's so nasty. So I think now that I've been noticing that, elbow bumps for me are probably going to be like a stay. I mean, it's
until somebody sneezes it into their elbow and then bumps you with it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There you
go.
go.
Yeah, everything that we've talked about, it's important, it's essential for a healthy immune system, but when it comes down to it, none of it really matters if your nervous system is not functioning correctly. So let's get into that.
Yeah, definitely. Your nerves matter. Your central nervous system matters. And so you guys have to understand your central nervous system has a very intimate relationship with your immune system. We're all hardwired the same way. Our body's ability to function, heal, grow, do everything, it starts in the brain. That is the central computer chip, hence central nervous system. But it communicates by flowing down the brainstem, down the spinal cord, out the nerves to everything, including your immune system organs. And so when you look at this, there are a couple very specific organs that we know come together to create what is known as the immune system. It's funny because when you ask people what is the immune system, they don't really know how to answer it. They know it's there, but it's almost like this aura or unicorn jumping around. No, the immune system, it's like a car. A car is made up of many, many different parts. And when that comes together, you have a functioning car. If you take out any of those parts or reduce the function of a part, you reduce the function of a car, or it just doesn't work at all. And so that's the same thing with the immune system. The major players in the immune system are your adenoids and your tonsils, which is kind of crazy to think how many kids have gotten their adenoids and tonsils taken out because they're inflamed or swollen. So they say, oh, let's just take a part out of the car rather than, hey, let's figure out where the inflammatory cytokine storm is coming from and get rid of the inflammation so that these organs that are there for the immune system can keep functioning. Rant over, but it drives me nuts. Try to find the cause. You look at things like your thymus, you look at things like your bone marrow, your spleen is a huge one. So your brain is sending communication and signals all the way down to your spleen so that your spleen can do what it's supposed to when it comes to your immune system. Now, the kicker is your spine. this guy right here. Your spine has a very intimate relationship with your nervous system. So intimate that it's almost interconnected. Your spinal column surrounds and protects in a very well-aligned formation your central nervous system. When this is aligned and moving well, your body is normally functioning at a very high rate. If at any time you have what's called a subluxation, so simply put, a subluxation is a misalignment of the spine, like so, that in turn puts pressure on the nerve right there. If you have that subluxation, whatever that nerve goes to cannot function and heal properly. And so when I ask people, what does a chiropractor treat? They usually, I would say majority of the time, they're going to say lower back pain. That's legit. It's true. We do treat a lot of lower back pain. And when you think about it, if the pelvis rotates or you have a subluxation in the lower lumbar spine, it will put pressure on the nerves, muscles will tense up, inflammation comes in, swelling comes in, it creates pain. But pain is the last thing to show up and the first thing to go away. I don't really care about pain. I'm more concerned about, well, what else is that affecting? Because if these nerves go to your digestive system and you're pinching those nerves down, your digestive system cannot function at 100%. If those nerves go to your spleen, which is a major organ of the immune system, your spleen, and when that gets pinched down, that nerve, your spleen cannot function at 100%. If a part of the car isn't functioning well, the entire car doesn't function well. If the spleen is not functioning at 100%, the immune system cannot function at 100%. Not to mention, like I said before, when you have subluxation, you have inflammation. We have been talking this entire 45 minutes about what inflammation does to our body from within. So now not only are you getting inflammation from toxicity, and you're getting it from stress, and you're getting it from crappy foods, but now you're getting it from your body from within. I mean, you are just adding insult to injury when it comes to these inflammatory processes. So what you need to do is figure out what is going on with my body and what can you do to correct it. Honestly, guys, you look back 125 years. D.D. and B.J. Palmer said that there are 3 causes of subluxation. It's called the 3 T's: thoughts, traumas, and toxins. Thoughts is stress. Stress and emotion, physical stress, emotional, mental stress can create subluxation, misalignment, and interference in the central nervous system and therefore other systems. Trauma, that can be an easy one, but it's also a hidden one. You could have car accidents, you could have sports injuries, slips and falls on the ice. But what about what you guys are doing every single day, which is this? This is a small, repetitive trauma that's creating subluxation and problems. And you think of kids on their phones. This is trauma. It will create pain, but it's also going to create functional disturbance within your body. And then finally, there's the toxins. And Dr. Megan talked about those. The things we put in our body and on our body create this storm on the inside and a lot of interference. And so if you can start to look at the lifestyle and reduce the causes, but then also look from within and get rid of the interference, your body says, thank you. I will say, I know right tonight we've been giving you a lot of scientifically backed research. What I'm about to say is not scientifically backed. This is not something that I personally did a double-blind study with placebo effects and all these other things. What I'm about to tell you is what I have seen clinically over the 13 years of me being a chiropractor. I've literally adjusted and worked with over 1 million patients over the 13 years, as far as adjustments and consultations and going out into the community, literally over 1 million. And yes, I oftentimes hear families and individuals say, I have less pain because I'm getting well adjusted. My digestive system works better. I'm sleeping better. But the one thing I hear over and over again that gives me goosebumps every time is when patients and specifically families come in and they tell me, I don't get sick anymore since starting chiropractic care, because this nervous system, or this spinal column has a very intimate relationship with the nervous system. The nervous system has a very intimate relationship with the immune system. And so therefore, they have an impact and an effect on each other. When you get adjusted, it reduces stress. It reduces and eliminates inflammation. It allows the body, the car, to function at a higher rate. That's why the chiropractic adjustments are so incredibly important. If you are somebody right now watching that has either never had a neurological exam to look deeper, or you've had it, but it's been a long time, I'm going to actually bring this up because I want you guys to look very closely. It's time for you to dig deeper. You can eat all of the great greens. You can drink water, you can sleep, you can exercise. But if your nervous system isn't functioning like it's supposed to, you're kind of banging your head against the wall. And so you can see here, these are some of the classic warning signs or symptoms of subluxation of the spine and interference of the nervous system. You look at things like headaches for people that have subluxation at the very top of the neck. Menstrual problems for women, that's very bottom. High blood pressure is top of the neck. But I want you to fast forward down to the middle. Inflammation, like I talked about before. Get rid of another source of inflammation by properly aligning your spine. But in order to align your spine, you have to figure out what kind of misalignment is it even in? How much damage is done? Do you have degeneration? Do you have arthritic changes? Is everything looking great? Because if that's the case, cool, keep doing what you're doing. But finally, I want to show you those last two. Ear infections and frequent colds are signs and symptoms of subluxation. If you're getting ear infections or your kids or frequent colds, that's also a sign of and a symptom of a weakened immune system. Intimate relationships, spinal column, nervous system, immune system. Right now, we want to give any of you that are on this workshop an opportunity to truly dig deeper. We want to give you the opportunity for a full consultation, a full neurological exam, and x-rays where necessary so that you can actually see what's going on. Where is the interference? Where is the subluxation? What can you and should you do? I will say this, I have not once in my 13 years of practice, I'm going to add Dr. Megan here. I have not once in my 13 years of practice worked with a patient and had them come back and say, I completely regret getting healthy. I never once. I am batting 1,000 that I've never had anybody say that. Because you don't regret investing in yourself. You don't regret getting healthy over time and looking for the long term. Right now, we have these COVID blinders on that is just like, let's get me through the month, the quarter, maybe 2021. I have no flipping idea anymore. But I want you to look long term. I want you to think about, some of our patients in their 80s that can still touch their toes. I want you to think about a guy that's in his 50s that just did the incline for the first time. That's what you want to be striving for. And so all you need to do is you just go to our website, freedomchiro.com, and right on the top there is a button that says request appointment. What we're doing, normally that appointment is $79. But we're doing for this workshop, it's $39, excuse me, for anybody that wants to take advantage of this. This includes your kids, your spouses, your coworkers, whoever you care about. $39, so a 51% savings, and that will get you everything, the neurological exam, the consultation, and the x-rays of your spine so that you can learn more. The cool kicker with that is we are donating that back to our charity of the month. Every month we work with a different charity. So depending on when you're watching this show or this workshop, we will be donating that back. Just learn more. Knowledge is power, but acting on that knowledge is what's really going to make the changes. And so take care of your nervous system, take care of your body from within, but then also start to take these actions of everything else that we've been talking about. So Dr. Megan, I'm going to have you wrap it up. Oh, and actually one more thing I almost forgot. Our patients that are watching, do not miss your adjustments right now, whether it be for the human touch or for the immune enhancement or just to see our smiling face underneath a mask. I don't care. Do not miss your adjustments. And most importantly, you guys know, when you come to a workshop, you can get signed off and save money on future care plans. Once you get 5 or 6 sign-offs, well, we're bringing that back. All you need to do is come into the office and say well aligned. That's the password, well aligned. And that I'm done. That's going to save you money on future care plans. Dr. Megan, take over.
Yes. Okay. So our action steps that we've learned tonight. Hope you have your pens or pencils out and something to write on. I'm losing it too, apparently. Okay. So we're going to reduce or eliminate toxins. So do that by buying organic foods. Use the Think Dirty app that I mentioned to help eliminate toxic personal care products and cleaning products. And wash your hands. If you do anything, wash your hands, please. It's gross. Get exercise, 30 minutes, 3 to 4 days a week, no matter what that looks like. Take a walk, take a run, do a HIIT workout. Check out maxt3.com to learn more about those exercises or those workouts. Eliminate the processed crap from your diet. Think Mediterranean. Load up on the veggies and the quality fats. Take your supplements. Don't forget that we have 10% off everything at the office and 15% off the immune bundle. And then reduce your stress. Journal, meditate, just 5 to 10 minutes daily. Just take some time for yourself. Go for walks outside and give lots and lots of hugs to the people that you are allowed to hug right now. And finally, get your nervous system checked, get your spine checked if you haven't already. It's a great starting point, and then we will help you with all of the rest of the lifestyle stuff as well. So, other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed, and we will see you at your next adjustment.
Peace.